shift gears a little bit, do sort of different category of techniques now. We're going to start this sort of set with a technique called Xoxocotla, which means small outside reap. Alright, now I'm going to do it first on this side, and I'll do it on that side, so everybody in the camera can see it from both angles. So this side, what I'm going to focus on is I have to break my opponent's balance towards the back at an angle. So part of what happens in this technique is, so part of what happens with this technique is I'm breaking my opponent this way. I'm doing it in two ways. I'm putting pressure, pulling on this. This is, of course, a hold that benefits, obviously, from a garment. So I'm putting pressure this way, down on my opponent, kind of shifting his center of gravity towards somewhere behind that the supporting heel. At the same time, I'm pushing with this arm up. So this is kind of the direction of the torque here. While I'm doing that with my hands, and actually with my body, because remember, this is a sphere. Okay, while I'm doing that, now this leg comes over, hooks around, and drops. I can choose to fall down, proceeding into a mat work position, or I can remain erect, perhaps deal with more adversaries, or simply maybe if I know that he's better than I am on the ground, well, I'll just throw him and stand up and maybe kick him while he's down, or depending on the nature of the rules or the context of the situation. So one more time. From here, lean over, and at the same time step in and down. Okay guys, let's play with that a little bit. Alright, so we did the Xoxocotla, Ko meaning small, Soto meaning outside, Gary meaning reap, so Xoxocotla. Now we're going to do the Osoto-Guerra, which is major or large outer reap. Now there are a number of ways of doing this. I'm going to show you the classical way, because if you you might have seen this way done. You can do it on the left-hand side, just for the, actually no, do it over here. I'm not going to throw. I'm just going to talk a little bit about the entry, the classical. Now the classical, and you see, people in judo really don't do this anymore. I'll explain why. But it's some other systems that don't actually put their throws to the test of competition. You may still see this. So in the classical way, you again, you break the opponent's balance. Okay, here. Then you toss this leg up and come down and reap. And of course, when you reap down here, it sort of goes something like this. Over here, step out, break my opponent's balance, toss this leg up, and come down. And make it. Now, this is still the way when I go for my down tests, I have to demonstrate it. Now, here's the problem with this. All right? As I come in and break my opponent's balance, there's a split-second lag between the time that I raise up my leg and the time that there's actually something happening. And this is what you get from a trained judoka. Okay? You would get immediately countered. So, what's been adapted for competition, and not just for competition, because this works under any circumstances, really, is rather than stepping over here to the opponent's balance, in essence, you take the 1, 2, and break it down into 1. So for here, you break your opponent's balance, and you reach this side. Do it over here, on this side. So in essence, what you're doing is from here, breaking, tossing. Right? Shaving off valuable fractions of a second and minimizing the chances that your opponent has of counterattacking. And this can be done because you don't really have to have a gi, a garment to execute this technique. This technique can be done from here, grabbing here, tossing. I just sort of hooked a little bit and stepped through. A lot of variations on this technique. But what I wanted to explain was the difference between the classical way that you still see in some, well, I won't mention. You still see in some systems, but in, for down tests, levels of black belt, you still have to go up and do it the classical way. In some places, some of the more progressive judo masters allow you to demonstrate it both ways, the classical way and the more progressive, competitive way. But I wanted you to see the two. So one more time, pay attention here again. Similar to the Kosoto is the breaking of balance, but this time this leg is going to leap forward, so I'm pushing off. This is my driver. Okay? Again, a sphere, rotating. Watch the sphere. So I'm here, I leap, and down. Now here I can come down with my opponent, go directly into a hold down or standing up. Incidentally, in judo terms, throwing going directly into a pin is called terminal judo. I want to give the person a chance to get back up and execute. Comments on that? No? Okay, let's play with that a little bit. Alright, so everyone had fun with that a little bit. Now Jimmy's going to demonstrate a variation, there are many variations on the Osoto technique that we just did, but you're going to see just the power of this technique in terms of its versatility. Now, just to recap, get paid attention, I took him back at an angle. So from here, I broke the balance, took him back at an angle, not directly back, but at an angle. But I'm pretty much facing him in the attack. Right? Now, he's going to show you a different Osoto that he's done. He was, one of his main techniques in competition was Osoto. So he's got quite a few Osotos up his sleeve, so to speak.
Alright, this is, a lot of people refer to this as a side Osoto, but the basic principles are the same in that, well, it's the same move, but you're coming across, you're starting the technique from here as opposed to in front of the person. You have to start with the side. So if I was just facing him, the first step would be establishing control, pulling with this hand, and I have to have contact with this hand in order to start breaking him back. Before everyone sees this. It's like this. Okay? And the footwork of this is my supporting leg, my driver has to step back, not too far back, but about so that it's, well, so that you can reach, reach his leg comfortably. So there's body contact, my foot is pointing in the direction of the throw, I'm pulling him, and here, from this position I have to hop, using this to pull me, to help pull me. I hop however many times it takes. It's normally a couple times to where I'm close, and then finish.
Okay, now notice one thing, how he snakes his leg around my knee, and it's actually something I didn't point out either, but you can talk about that because it applies to both of these techniques.
Well, you can't, as far as snake, I don't mean grapevine. Like grapevine would be all the way around, and with my foot hooking, you can,
that's not what we're talking about.
It's just a hook. I'm hooking, I'm pointing my toes, flexing my calf, and putting pressure on his knee.
The way it comes around the knee, that's what I meant by snaking, is it collapses my knee, forcing it to bend and contributing to the efficacy of the technique.
So all at once, the entry would look something like this. Everyone can see that. And then hop. You know, a couple points on the finish that weren't covered before. The best, the most explosive finish I feel is once you're in, is to kind of, you don't have to raise your leg up, even though that does work, is to shoot your leg back while kind of keeping your toes on the floor and twisting your body away from the throw so that the person rather than coming up. Rather than coming up, slides out. So if you were in here, it'd be like that. Shooting your leg back and twist it. And now I'll show that on my side. That's all you can see. So just fighting left. And I didn't do the right finish, but wrong picture.
It works. You can see it's a very, very dynamic, very explosive move, which is what makes these judo throws so devastating. You would not want to take an impact like that on the ground, on the floor, whether it's a barroom floor, whether it's a parking lot. You would not want to fall like that. Alright guys, so play with that a little bit. We'll be around to help you and kind of help fine-tune the nuances of this technique and show you again the differences between the forward-facing Osoto and this side Osoto. Let's go. Alright, so moving along, we did a series of attacks on the outside of the person's legs. So we did, the first one was the Ko-Soto. We did Osoto as well. Now we're going to work going on the inside of the person's leg. And surprise, surprise, there is an Osoto, big technique. Sorry, an O-uchi. O-uchi, so inside, major inside hook. Major inner reach, okay. And so there's an O-uchi and there's a Ko-uchi. We'll start off with the O-uchi. Now this technique also, again, they all do illustrate the principle of the sphere in action. I'm going to do this, I guess this would constitute the left side, that's on the right side. I'm going to do this just on that's a left side technique because I'm taking a grip. This would be considered a left-sided grip in judo versus this is a right-sided grip. Right side being my right hand on the lapel, kind of dominating the technique, versus left side on the lapel and right hand, left hand on the lapel, right hand underneath grabbing the sleeve. So from here, the technique, the way it works, you're still breaking the opponent's balance this way, okay? But you're coming in on the inside of their leg. And from here, you step in, break them over, okay? And it's a circular motion. If you notice, try to do it a little slowly. It's difficult to do this technique slowly because in essence what happens is from here, as I turn into my opponent, this leg is coming around here and reaping his foot out from under him. So to break it down, over here his balance is placed already on this leg, but at the same time as I'm turning my body, and I just sort of did that, a little bit of a push. Try to break this down a little bit. Again, it's hard to do this slowly. At the same time, let's see, at the same time gripping, I come in. At the same time as I'm turning my body this way, I'm hooking here. The rotation of my body enhances the shifting of his weight over into this direction. Stand here. So as I come in initially, I'm already trying to break him here a little bit. Pulling, pushing. Now, I'm inside. The rotation of my body breaks him this way because both bodies are rotating the sphere. All of a sudden, as part of my rotation, I'm just kind of severing, cutting, think of a sword, cutting through this leg. Boom! And so he drops because he doesn't have any support. So one more time. Here. Okay. Boom. Again, I can decide to go down, and there are variations of this. For example, there are variations of this in which you come down. It's less of a reap and more kind of a takedown. But what you do is you collapse and bring your you sort of drop your level, and that kind of pushes your opponent more of this kind of rotation as opposed to the other rotation that you saw before. Lots of variations on this technique. Okay, so one more time. I'm here. I come in with this leg and rotate. And this time I stood up and I've got the leg lock right in place, the ankle lock. Awesome. Okay, let's play with that a little bit. Alright, so we did the o-uchi, this kind of motion here. Right? Now we're going to do the ko-uchi, the small one, where we're attacking the opposite leg. Actually, same leg, but from the inside. Alright, so from here, I'm going to pull down. Once again, I am a sphere with my opponent. Pull down in here. This leg is going to come through and hook and small. It's a small ring. It's not quite as dramatic technique as the other one. But nonetheless, it is effective. So from here, I come in. I'm down.
We meant by not as dramatic technique, not as large a body motion. Whereas in the one, you're here, you're pulling your whole hips through.
Right.
To finish it. Here it's just the leg that you have to pull through.
Right. So you don't, in competitive terms, you don't get as big of a slap when your opponent hits the mat. Right. So once again, I'm here, I break in, here, break in, and bang. Well, that would have been a pretty good splat. Okay, so again, I'm over my opponent. If following through the motion, I can slide right through, passing the guard, and into groundwork. Okay, just one more time. Quick note, the variation on this technique can involve dropping one's level in here. Okay, which here's some of the differences as you switch from one grappling art to another. This is not where you want to wind up. Okay. It's not where you want to wind up. Yeah, so, anyway, but it is a variation on that technique. So one more time, one last time, from here, bang, and down. Let's do that again. Here, and down. Okay, let's play with that. Alright guys, the moment you've all been waiting for. Okay, we're going to do just a couple of what would be classified, I guess, as hip throws, but most people identify with judo. Of course, judo is big on hip throws, but as you can see, there's a lot more to judo than just hip throws. So the first technique we're going to do is called koshi runa. I'm going to demonstrate a couple different variations on this technique. The central theme again is I become one sphere with my opponent. I break his balance forward. And of course, in a self-defense situation, maybe he's giving me some momentum forward. I don't have to break his balance because the balance is already coming towards me. So I come in. We'll see some of that later toward the end. So I'm going to break his balance. Okay, so I'm going to break his balance forward by pulling on him here. I turn my back to him. Now watch where this foot places. And there's variations on foot placement. I'm going to speak briefly on different variations. But from this side here, I break his balance forward. I insert my foot, this foot, deep between his feet. And my foot is, you just step aside, step. See, my foot is pointing in that direction, in the direction of the throw. So from here, I step in, I insert, I wrap around his neck, or I could grab here. Koshi-Garuma proper is a wrap around the neck, but there's no reason why one can grab here if you have garment to do so. Okay, you grab here, or of course this could be done without a gi, where you're grabbing over here and using handles. We'll talk about handles a little later. And I'm pulling in and up. Okay, so ideally I'm stepping in deep between his feet, and the need to step in deep between his feet is directly proportional to, or inversely proportional to the extent to which I break his balance. If I don't break his balance very much, I have to step in deeply in order to create the necessary torque in the rotation, the necessary momentum, angular momentum to rotate. If, on the other hand, I pull him forward a lot, he's already coming towards me. I don't have to step back here. Right? I can even do it further away because he's already coming up towards me. So again, thinking of a sphere, two bodies become one. Okay, but I'm the inner core. Right? I'm the inner core, he's on the outer surface, and he's the outer core, the outer layer of this sphere. Okay? So from here, I rotate up, around. I'm just picking up right now. Okay, so once again, I pull, step in, point. Now this foot, here's some of the variations. Some people will bring the foot back, all the way back to match the other foot. Some people will just go from here and lift. Less strangely enough, when I do this technique, the left side, again, this is left side because I'm pulling on the left side of his left lapel with my right hand. So this is considered a left technique, maybe because this hand is coming, my left hand is coming around his neck. So usually when I do this left side, this is how it winds up. You know, like this. If I, on the other hand, we're doing it right side, for some reason, I would tend to bring the other foot back. So play with both. Right? Just see the technique in its execution. I step in, I pull over. I can toss him over. Time. Step in, come on. Pull. I can toss him over and remain standing, or I can gently, because this is in competition, try to control my descent, fall with him automatically into a hold down position. So here, okay, bang, already into a hold down position. Arm is here, controlling here, other arm is around, and we'll talk about these hold downs and all these different ground fighting techniques in our seminar tomorrow. Okay. Alright guys, play with this one, your first hip throw. Okay, a little bit off topic, but someone, while we were going over, asked a question about another different kind of defense against a shoot. I'm going to do this side. So here's the defense that was suggested, and I know where this is coming from. I'm going to shoot in, and he's going to block my hips with his hands and sprawl out a little bit. So I come and shoot in, he blocks here and sprawls out. Now, the problem with this is, here's the problem. A good grappler will do this, shoving and controlling on this side. Again, go ahead, put your hands over here. All I need to do, because he's pushing me back. He's pushing me back, trying to keep my hips from coming in. So, a little force. He's pushing me back. All I need to do is pop my hips out a little bit here and control. Now from here I've got options. I've got this here, take him down, this side. So again, if I'm over here and he just relies on my hips, I come in, he shoots and he blocks, and I just back up, I control here, take him down. I've got options. Right? So I guess it's better than nothing, but depends on who you're doing. Yes, I still definitely favor the control that we were showing earlier today in terms of defense against that kind of attack. All right, and I can see if somebody is defending against a bear hug. So if I bear hug him, arms on the inside, he pushes on my hips. Push on my hips, pushes on my hips. Still, nonetheless, I can control here. Here I can turn. I've got throws. I've got all sorts of wonderful things. So, anyway, just something to think about. So, back to our program. Next technique is called Ogoshi O, large goshi hip throw, big hip throw, big, okay, major hip throw. So, one comment I want to make about the other technique we did. People were mentioning that I was grabbing the lapel on each side, and I'm carting from this hold here. Would I switch the lapel hold? Not necessarily. You can do the koshiguruma from here just as nicely. It does not have to be from here. I prefer to execute those throws from here because I feel it has more control, but experiment with this, okay? So play with this, grabbing here, or finding other handles. And you can still grab over here, grab and turn, so it does not have to be from here. Okay, Ogoshi, finally. So, grabbing from here, I have this hold, same thing, I pull my opponent in. Now, I can step like this. The more classical way of doing this is actually stepping back. For me, that's too many steps. So I always teach it coming in like this, turning my body around, okay, for the entry. My advanced students can do it as they wish. How do you do it? You do it stepping like this? Yeah. All right, so from here, again, off balancing my opponent. This time, rather than reaching around here for the upper control, reaching around the waist, I can grab the belt, grab the gi, grab the belt, not grab anything. Okay? Same thing. And here, I turn and over. Simple technique, most basic hip throw technique. Virtually the same as a koshiguruma, except for rather than grabbing behind the head and grabbing around the waist. I guess now I should mention a couple things. Many years ago, decades ago, I was attending a seminar by one of the great judo masters in Canada, and he explained that all you need to do to be able to have a black belt in judo is essentially be able to do this. Now, of course, that's a gross exaggeration to say the least, but the point was well taken. What you need to be able to do is turn your body, turn your back to your opponent, dropping your hips lower than theirs, okay, so that you can execute the throw. So it's very important when you do these sort of techniques, okay, that you turn, lower your hips, okay, load up your opponent, up to throw this time, okay, so just over here. So you're over here, this is the footwork. Step in, load up, and then throw. The time, you can throw and keep your opponent up. You can throw and go down with your opponent. So I'm here, up, okay, and I'm down. On top of him, in control, in control. All right, let's play with that one. Do it. All right, our next technique, and we're coming to the end of the techniques that I'm going to teach you. We're going to teach you, and then we're going to do some combinations, and then just show you how these techniques can work in various self-defense situations. All right, so the next technique is actually it's been banned for judo for some time. Back in my days of competing, it was legal, and then it was banned. I won't tell you when that was, but it was a while ago. All right, this technique is called Kendi Masami. It's referred to as flying scissors, but I think the translation is more like something crab leg. You heard that? Masami crab. I don't know. Referred to as flying scissors, Kendi Masami. Now the technique, okay, I'm going to do this slowly first. It was banned probably for good reason. Well, it is a very effective technique, especially when your opponent either outflanks you or grabs one of your legs in this kind of position. Okay? So next, when he grabs one of your legs, he's assisting you in executing this technique. So from here, I'm going to describe it first. From here, what I do is I jump up, grabbing onto something. Don't necessarily have to. For training, we usually grab onto something to make it easier for our partners. So you jump up. One leg goes above your opponent's waist, somewhere above their center of gravity. Other one generally goes below, around the knees. Okay, around the knees. For training purposes, when you do this technique, you always post on one hand. Right? So if I'm doing this in training, just to make it easier for my partner, I'm not going to throw you, I'm just going to get in position. I'm going to come up here, I'm going to post on this hand, let it go, because otherwise I have to take him down. But you can see that while I was posting, one leg was here, the other leg was behind, I'm grabbing on here. Now from here, using the same momentum, guys, the same momentum of my jump and land, descent, I rotate my body, I rotate my body this way. Okay? When executed properly, i.e. as in competition or in a self-defense situation, or basically any situation in which you don't care much about your partner, in fact you want to inflict as much damage as possible, when executed fully, the first point of contact of your partner's body on the ground will be the back of his head. Right? Actually, that was not why it was banned from competition. The reason why it was banned from competition was in resisting the technique, a lot of people got their knees blown out. So, maybe not good for competition, but definitely good self-defense situation, especially if you get your leg grabbed and pulled across like this. So let me see if we can do this this way. Okay, I'm still, even though I have a crash mat, I'm going to be careful with my partner. So from here, I'm going to jump up and down. Alright? Now if you notice, I still posted my hand. If I were to do this without care for my partner, even though we have a crash mat, it can still hurt his neck. You don't post, you generate a lot more power in the rotation. A lot of the power of my rotation is absorbed because I'm posting here first rather than rotating my body. So, let's see that one more time. Is that a good angle, Jackie? Can you see that well? Mm-hmm. Okay, everybody, you can see this? Okay. So from here, I'm just going to grab on to partner. One more time. I'm up and down. Right? Now, how would one finish from here? Maybe wondering, okay, I got him down, now what do I do? Well, typically what you do from here is the knee bar. Okay? And here you control, or you control it here, and pressure on the side of the knee. That's how one could typically finish that technique. So, I'll do it from this side. Okay, done from this side. Okay, so done from this side. I'm grabbing on, I jump, slowly, down, I jump, and down. Okay. Be careful. Better to miss the technique than come in too forcefully and think you're going to hurt your partner. Okay? Let me just demonstrate this. Any comments? No? Let me just demonstrate this again. If your leg is grabbed, say someone's coming up for a leg grab. Okay, so you come in, you got my leg. Alright, he's already assisted me. I'm halfway through the technique. I don't have to bother jumping anymore. From here, I'm just going to land. I'm going to rotate around. Okay, from here, I'm just going to land, and bang. And he's down. And then here I'd be coming in for, okay, here or here, finishing. We'll deal with those tomorrow. Okay, have fun, don't get hurt. Okay, coming up is our last individual technique for the day, and this is going to be kind of a sense of throwback to what we did earlier this morning. The theme was pickups, one of my favorites. It's called teguruma, guruma meaning wheel, as in koshi guruma, wheel, te meaning hand, so hand wheel. It is done usually as a counter technique to a hip throw or other throws. Okay. We're going to do it, since you've got the koshi guruma and the ogoshi, we're going to do it against the koshi guruma. So watch in particular, just watch the whole thing, and then I'm going to point out. Watch my displacement. All right. So Jimmy's going to come in for a koshi guruma. Okay, breaking my balance and coming around. Now notice how he has to. Notice how he goes from facing me and he rotates around like this, 180 degrees. Okay, I'm again. Now, if I step with him, see, he misses the technique. Right? So that's one of the parts of this teguruma, right? It's displacing yourself with your opponent, right? Kind of like following him or her in the circle. Next part of the technique, or what happens in coordination and synchronous with this part, is where this hand goes. Watch this, where this hand's going to go. I'll do it in different angles. Here, it comes down under here, grabbing the inside of the leg. Some people actually grab another part of their opponent's anatomy, but we'll grab the inside of the leg today. Now, from here, I would pick up, right? The technique follows a little bit. That's the first part. So let's work on this part here. Opponent comes turns, you come around, you grab underneath, and pick up. Okay? So let's look at this from a different angle. Okay, he comes in. For his technique, I rotate around, I come under, grab, and pick up. Okay, let's do that part. Play with that a little bit first. Okay, now that you have practiced the footwork and the hand insertion, and a couple of you are now seeing sopranos, let's play with the actual throw a little bit. All right. It's a little interesting because of where the crash mat is with respect to where one lands. So you have to kind of like improvise at the end of the technique a bit to adjust. So he's going to turn in. He turns in for a hip throw. I fall underneath. There you go. And throw. Now, ordinarily, again, being a pickup on the landing, you can choose to fall with your opponent, in which case the person does, you can see why it's called a hand wheel. Okay, it's this kind of motion, right? And even though it seems like he's doing all the circular motion is just your partner, your opponent, it's really more than him because you're also rotating with him. And typically you just drop him right here, this kind of fall on him. You don't have to. Let's see that from a different angle. I won't throw you here. Okay, so he turns and I insert up, okay, up here, and I'll finish the rotation here, okay, and boom, dumping motion. Okay, that was teguruma. Comments?
Just, I don't know if you noticed, the big important thing that helps the rotation is the pulling of this hand. That's why it's called hand wheel.
Both hands. Okay, good point. All right, let me emphasize that again. So let's do this one more time. He comes in for his technique. Come in under. I see this hand. Okay, it whips down as the other goes up. So kind of like steering a huge bus around. Okay. It's a good point. Thanks, Jim. All right. I see some of you were intimidated by that. We'll just try it, see how it goes. All right. Okay, for the last part of the day, what we're going to do is play around with combinations of the techniques that you've already learned, combinations that you can apply, make you thinking, have you thinking about drills to work on these techniques, and also how to integrate it in self-defense moves. Right, so the first technique we're going to work on here is it's actually a stand-up choke. I'm going to do it from both sides. So you do this where the person, like say he's reaching over to grab my lapel, he reaches over, I'm going to pop the elbow, pop underneath, elbow across. This hand is going to shoot out here, okay, wrapping tightly around the neck, the clasp here, and you can get a submission from here, okay. We're going to play with this first, then you're going to see how this, by breaking the person back, you can start using some throws that we've done. Let's work first on this move here. So I'm in here, he reaches over, I pop over my head, okay, I shoot underneath here, this comes around, and this grips. Now, the way that this grips, we talk a little bit about this. This hand, palm facing down. This hand comes underneath. We're not going to use the traditional 4 fingers between the thumb and forefinger, and Jimmy talked a little bit about this earlier today. This is the way I teach it. I take so you can start off with this. If you slide the index finger around the thumb, okay, and then you have a better handle here yourself, because if you notice these four fingers, everyone, if you grab your fingers like this, okay, you can barely touch, make contact with the thumb and the index finger, depending on where you grab. Okay. But if I slide this finger over, right, the thumb and index finger can now make a seal, so it makes for a better grip on this side, on this part of the grip. And over here, my thumb and index finger kind of join forces around the base of the thumb joint for a much tighter control. Right? So you get a much tighter grip like this. So rather than doing it like this, just slide it over and get used to doing this. You'll see a lot of this tomorrow when we're doing the ground fighting, the mat work. So that's that little part of the that little detail. So from here, let's say he's reaching over, grab my lapel, I pop him up, come underneath, and I grab. From here, I'm digging the blade of my hand, the blade of my forearm, into the side of his neck, getting the submission. Okay. One more time. See from the other side. Of course, this can be also done against the punch. He throws a right cross. Right, boom, I parry it across this way, shoot through, and grab, lock on. Alright, before I let you guys go and play, let me add one more detail to this. What I want you to get used to doing is, let's say he's just gripping over here, okay? From here I drop my level, pop up, come underneath, clasp on. Now, watch this thing on his back. Watch my forearm and elbow. I'm going to bend him back like this. That's what's going to set me up for a couple things. Number one, it breaks his ability to retaliate. Number two, it'll set me up in a moment, after we practice this, it's going to set me up for a takedown if I want it, depending on which leg it is. I'm here. Throw him here, or I can be here, okay? So, Osoto, Kosoto. But once, again, you come around here, grasp him tightly with your head against the back of your opponent's tricep shoulder area. Dig the blade into the side of their neck, make the nice clasp, and then elbow to the kidneys for a back bend. All right, concentrate. Alright, let's do it. Alright, so we had fun with that. Now we're going to practice practice using the Osoto motion with this technique. Okay. Let's start off right hand side. So let's just say I have my right leg forward and he has his right leg forward. So we're going to practice this by having your opponent reach over with their right hand, boom, you parry it out of the way, come over for the grab. I'll do it on the other side so you can see it. Now from here, this leg, just like the Osoto that we practiced, comes over. I'm coming down gently on my opponent, keep from injuring his neck, and you're right into a hold down for a finishing move. Okay? Let's see that again. Your side, here, you parry it back, and down. Okay? Other side, left side, break it down, so I'm leaning here left. He reaches over, or maybe he's punching or something. I push this out of the way. I grab, this comes in, boom, and down. And from here, okay, one point. When you practice this technique, even though we have the crash pads, and you're landing, soften your grip for your uke, for your partner. Okay? Probably couldn't see that, but when I would land, rather than keeping the blade of my forearm digging into my opponent as I would in a match or in a real confrontation, I soften it a little bit by rotating and opening my grip, right? Otherwise, what happens is, especially because we're coming down with our technique, otherwise what will happen is he will feel his neck being compressed against the side of this, and you can do some damage to the neck, to the vertebrae. Okay, so be very careful with this. Soften your technique, soften your grip by rotating your arm and loosening up your grip a little bit. And then if you want to, you can regain and gently, progressively apply the squeeze. Turn this in, squeeze it tightly till your opponent taps. Let me just do it one more time. Again, we're doing the Osoto. So I'm here, he does something, he throws, I parry it out of the way, I shoot in, this comes up, and grabs at the same time, and down. Okay, and then from here, I'm in, we'll see tomorrow, it's called a katagatami shoulder hold, right? I would just grip here. Okay, Collins Street. Nope. All right, let's work with this. Okay, I can see tired faces, and it's been a long day for all of you guys. So we're going to move on quickly. I just want to make a comment about the last technique we just did. Okay. Now let's see, he extends this hand, and I'm executing. So he extends this hand, and your right hand. You extend that right hand. All right. Boom. And I'm executing this kind of defense, and I want to take him to the ground. All right. The technique that I use, whether I use a Osoto, meaning major outer reach. So let me see from here. Yeah. Okay. So whether I am over here, I throw him this way, okay, or whether I use the Osoto, which we're going to practice very briefly, whether I come in like this and take him down, all depends on which leg I have forward, my leg position for the technique, when I execute the technique. So if I'm like this, and he throws, I don't know, throw him on, doesn't really matter. He throws this, and I come over like this. Okay, I'm in position now for the Osoto, right? I'm in position right here to take him down from here. Okay, because I'm here, I would have bent him back, boom, he's going to go down, right? So it just depends on where I am. I'm left leg forward, and he throws that one. Okay, boom, I'm over here. Okay, I'm in a better position Now I'm in a better position to do the oso. I'm in a better position here to come through and throw this way. Okay? If my legs start off like this, then I'd be in a better position to do this technique. So it depends on which leg is leading here to the side that he's launching the attack. And that's what's going to determine for this general technique how you're going to do and which one you're going to do the oso or kosoto. Okay? So very quickly, as you've done the kosoto, I know we're running out of time. Here we go. He throws that side. Okay? Boom, I pop him up. I'm over here. Let me back a little bit. Okay, I'm over here, and here, I take him right down. Boom, see where I land? Ready for a mount position. Okay? Right? So, let's play with that. What I'm going to do is give you some examples of some of the different ways that one can combine these techniques, working together, or in a self-defense situation, and you guys can spend the next few minutes we have left for the day working on what you think is most interesting, and we'll put it together. We'll be around helping you put it together. All right, now let's say, for example, let's give an example of so coming from behind and you're getting me to choke. Over here, choke. Okay, he's coming from behind. Any situation like this, you don't want to wait till the choke is on. But here's an example of how one could use an oso in a self-defense situation. First thing you need to do is put some pressure on this arm, try to relieve some of the pressure around your neck, get a good grip. Okay, from here, I'm going to rotate into the arm and come around. Okay, what that does is it puts stress on my opponent's shoulder. Let's do it from here. Okay, so it puts stress over here, bang, okay, and down. Of course, I would land on him rather to the side. That's one example of how one can use one of these techniques. Another example is same situation. You're being held from behind, choked from behind. Now here I want to use a hip throw. So again, I want to clasp on and try to make some space. Use my own body weight. I'm going to drop and throw. Okay. So it's just a matter of dropping, turning on my knees, coming down, taking my opponent off of me. Over here, I'm sorry, I apologize for this being so quick, but we're going to get around to you. Headlock position, I demonstrated. Okay, so headlock position, as he squeezes in, okay, squeeze in tightly. I'm going to step around through here. And lats drop. Okay, then continue on the ground. Combining some of the throws that we did, I'm over here. I want to do koshiguruma, but he steps around a little bit. Okay, he steps around a little bit, evading my koshiguruma technique. Now if you move here, okay, let's start that again. Okay, so I'm over here, steps around a little bit. Now I'm going to use a side of soto over here and toss him down. So moving from one technique to the other. Let's say I'm over here. I do my shoot. Okay, for my double leg, I do my shoot. I'm in, but somehow I don't quite get to this leg. Okay, I can do koichi. Okay, do the koichi. Sorry, oichi. To finish the technique. So once again, I'm over here. Maybe he steps back with this foot, and I can't quite grab it. He steps back a little bit, so I'm just going to come around and reap. Okay, and hopefully not bang your foot against the mat. Do that again. So I'm here. I drop. Shoots out with this leg. I don't quite get it, so I'm going to come around, up, and toss him. I want to stay up. I've got the ankle lock to finish. It might be the other way around. Okay? This leg. Alright, I can't get this, so I decide to do coach here and drop. And then from here I slip around, passing the guard, and taking him down. Another example of how to fit some of these techniques together. Any more examples? That's good enough. Okay, let's play with that, guys. It's the end of the day. Have some fun. Pushing with this arm up. So this is kind of the direction of the torque here. While I'm doing that with my hands, and actually with my body, because remember, this is a sphere. Okay, while I'm doing that, now this leg comes over, hooks around, and drops. I can choose to fall down, proceeding into a mat work position, or I can remain erect, perhaps deal with more adversaries, or simply maybe if I know that he's better than I am on the ground, well, I'll just throw him and stand up and maybe kick him while he's down, or depending on the nature of the rules of the context of the situation. So one more time. From here, lean over, and at the same time step in and down. Okay guys, let's play with that a little bit. Alright, so we did the Ko-Soto, Ko meaning small, Soto meaning outside, Gary meaning reap, so Ko-Soto-Geri. Now we're going to do the O-Soto-Geri, which is major or large outer reap. Now there are a number of ways of doing this. I'm going to show you the classical way, because if you you might have seen this way done. We do it on the left-hand side just for the, actually no, do it over here. I'm not going to throw. I'm just going to talk a little bit about the entry, the classical. Now the classical, and you see, people in judo really don't do this anymore. I'll explain why. But it's okay, alright, we're going to shift gears a little bit to sort of different category of techniques now. We're going to start this sort of set with a technique called Ko-Soto, Xoxocotla, which means small outside reap. Alright, now I'm going to do it first on this side, and I'll do it on that side. So everybody in the camera can see it from both angles. So this side, what I'm going to focus on is I have to break my opponent to balance towards the back at an angle. So part of what happens in this technique is, I'm breaking my opponent this way. I'm doing it in two ways. I'm putting pressure, pulling on this. This is, of course, a hold that benefits, obviously, from a garment. So I'm putting pressure this way, down on my opponent, kind of shifting his center of gravity towards somewhere behind that the supporting heel. At the same time, and some other systems that don't actually put their throws to the test of competition, you may still see this. So in the classical way, you again, you break the opponent's balance, okay, here. Then you toss this leg up and come down and reap. And of course, when you reap down here, it sort of goes something like this. Over here, I step out, break my opponent's balance, toss this leg up, and come down. And make them. Now, this is still the way when I go for my Dan tests, I have to demonstrate it. Now, here's the problem with this. All right? As I come in and break my opponent's balance, there's a split-second lag between the time that I raise up my leg and the time that there's actually something happening. And this is what you get from a trained judoka. Okay? You would get immediately countered. So, what's been adapted for competition, and not just for competition, because this works under any circumstances, really, is rather than stepping over here to the opponent's balance, in essence, you take the 1, 2, and break it down into 1. So for here, you break your opponent's balance, and you reach this side. Do it over here. On this side. So in essence, what you're doing is from here, breaking, tossing. Right? Shaving off valuable fractions of a second and minimizing the chances that your opponent has of counterattacking. And this can be done because you don't really have to have a gi, a garment, to execute this technique. This technique can be done from here, grabbing here, tossing. Now I just sort of hooked a little bit and stepped through. A lot of variations on this technique. But what I wanted to explain was the difference between the classical way that you still see in some well, I won't mention. You still see in some systems, but in for Dan tests, levels of black belt, you still have to go up and do it the classical way. In some places, some of the more progressive judo masters allow you to demonstrate it both ways, the classical way and the more progressive, competitive way. But I wanted you to see the two. So one more time, pay attention here again. Similar to the Kosoto is the breaking of balance, but this time, this leg is going to leap forward, so I'm pushing off. This is my driver, okay? Again, a sphere, rotating. Watch the sphere. So I'm here, I leap, and down. Now here I can come down with my opponent, go directly into a hold down or standing up. Incidentally, in judo terms, going directly into a pin is called terminal judo. I want to give the person a chance to get back up and execute. Comments on that one? No? Okay, let's play with that a little bit. Alright, so everyone had fun with that a little bit. Now Jimmy's going to demonstrate a variation, there are many variations on the Osoto technique that we just did, but you're going to see just the power of this technique in terms of its versatility. Now, just to recap, pay attention, I took him back at an angle. So from here, I broke the balance, took him back at an angle, not directly back, but at an angle. But I'm pretty much facing him in the attack. Right? Now, he's going to show you a different Osoto that he's done. He was, one of his main techniques in competition was Osoto. So he's got quite a few Osotos up his sleeve, so to speak.
Alright, this is, a lot of people refer to this as a side Osoto. But the basic principles are the same in that, well, it's the same move, but you're coming across, you're starting the technique from here as opposed to in front of the person. You have to start to the side. So if I was just facing him, the first step would be establishing control, pulling with this hand, And I have to have contact with this hand in order to start breaking it back. Before everyone sees this. It's like this. Okay? And the footwork of this is my supporting leg,